Just a few days ago, I had made a video about Chris Chan talking about how he hadn't gone live since apparently being doxxed a few weeks ago. And lo and behold, here we are a couple days later, and Chris comes back to the internet again. In what I think was one of his funnier live streams since coming back, he was getting showered with donations tonight. And again, it makes no sense why people would just throw their money at a predator like this, but they did, and none of the donations were really like that funny, but the reactions that Chris had to some of these were pretty priceless. It seems like Chris went live with the intention to read off stuff on this piece of paper that he had in front of him and to show off some of his new toys. And in the process of that, he would also answer some questions from the fans if they happened to donate. And as I've already mentioned, people donated a lot. So much so, in fact, that Chris actually started to get frustrated after like 20 minutes of constant donations coming in, which honestly just shows that even when Chris gets given the easiest possible job in the world to sit in front of a camera and play with his toys, the thing he likes to do more than anything, it gets frustrating after a while because it probably feels like a job to him. I assume the Praters are the ones telling him, hey Chris, it's Thursday, why don't you go live for 2 hours? And they see why, because Chris rakes it in on these streams. And people, well, mostly are low effort weens, what they'll do is they'll donate like $2 to $10 and write some type of message to Chris. And as I've already mentioned, none of the messages themselves were really like, oh man, you got him guys, like you guys really told Chris. It was Chris's reaction to some of these things, or his non-reactions, because he never responds the way you'd think he would. It's always just something so out of left field, but that's really what you know you're gonna get with Chris anyway. A few of these put Chris in his place over the Barb situation, but really that just kind of begs the question, hey, if you really believe Chris like is a rapist, why would you give him your money? It's really confusing, but there's also a little bit of Cyrax in here. Could you believe that? I mean, I thought it was inevitable that someone would try to ask Chris about Cyrax, and in this video you're gonna see it. And Chris's response is exactly what I thought it would have been, and the thing I've been saying for like the past year. There's a lot of funny stuff in here, so let's just jump into it because I compiled a bunch of clips here, and let's see what Chris did the other night.
Fallen, then was resurrected by the universe core and matrix. I wipe, to answer that question, wipe and wash with soap and water. Okay? I am following. It never happened, so there. I am Sofa King. Sofa King. We, Todd, Ed. I feel the spiritual energy and all that. I consciously know who that is, and I feel like that was his relation, so well, they are blessed in their own right already.
Chris reassures the chat that don't you worry, Epstein and Maxwell are blessed, which nobody wanted to hear that. Nobody wanted to know that because, for one, I don't even know, I don't know what like omnipotent powers there are out there, but I guarantee you, no matter what there is, they're not blessing up Jeffrey Epstein of all people. But Chris doesn't know who they are. All he knows is that they probably are in a relationship together. He recognizes the name, but if he knew what Epstein actually did, he probably wouldn't give him blessings. Although it seems like I might be wrong on that fact, because just a few moments later, Chris decides to go into that story a little bit more.
Everybody gets equally blessed. It just depends on them whether they follow the path of right. They follow the path of light, power, good, and righteousness or not. Okay, they can be open to it. They have the right to not be open for it.
Chris is going full Jesus here, saying, you know, I don't like what Epstein did, but I give him my blessings anyway. Every human gets their own choice, really trying to hit it home that he's an accepting God of all of his humans. But to any normal person, it just sounds like some crazy dude defending one of the worst predators in human history because he himself wants to be looked at as someone who deserves a second chance. Now, I do think the person who donated was pushing it a little bit far, saying that Epstein and Chris are of the same thing. I mean, Chris is a horrible person, but I wouldn't put him on the same level of like detestability as is that even a word? I don't even think that's a word, but I wouldn't put him on the same level of shittiness as Jeffrey Epstein.
My godly powers. In addition, here we go. In addition to the 5 Autobots,
Chris ignores the message from Big Bubba telling him that he misses Chris's sweet cheeks in jail. I mean, that one's pretty funny, but at the same time, why give Chris anything? Like, come on, man. Chris, he ignored that one, but the next person who they mention is going to be too detestable to ignore.
Universe. I know who that is. I'm not gonna collaborate with that guy, period. I'm not gonna, I know the joke. 2007, 2008. I didn't even answer the question. Was it just say best? I can't say off the top of my head. Maybe I'll get back to that question about 2008 memory. Can we please move forward? First, 1739 AD year. Nope. Not that. Just saying nope to that. Period.
So when someone brings up the idea of Chris Chan collaborating with Cyrax, Chris immediately shoots down that idea. You know, that's something I had been saying the whole time while Chris was in jail. People had been asking me, hey Smokey, do you think Chris Chan and Cyrax would ever collaborate? I mean, Cyrax himself drops Chris Chan's name all the time, saying that, oh, all these trolls, you bully me just like you bullied Chris Chan. Neither of us deserve it, despite Chris doing what he did to his mom and Cyrax doing what he does on a pretty frequent basis, trying to text kids. So you'd think they'd be like little predator buddies and everything, you know? But I'd been saying for the longest time that Chris Chan would probably be mortified of Cyrax. Just the sight of the guy would be enough for Chris to go, oh no. Like Chris is too good for Chance, and he makes it known right there. Imagine if Chris Chan, of all people, Christian Weston Chandler, who just recently got out of jail for boinking his own mother, is saying that you're too much of a toxic individual to be around. I mean, he says that about a lot of people, but when he says it about Cyrax, it's one of those rare times where Chris is hitting the nail right on the head. You also saw there Chris having like a breakdown when someone asked what his favorite part of 2007 was. I mean, Chris, he literally seemed like he was having like an error in real time, you know, like chrischan.exe does not compute. If you get that one, you get it. And then finally, someone ships Chris and Cyrax in a tree together, which, Chris probably saw that and was like, oh no, that person could draw that down and it could become reality. I gotta nip this in the bud right away. But no, Chris does not want to be in a tree with Cyrax, and again, who could blame the guy? But what you're about to see here is immediately, and I'm going to give a little bit of a sound warning here, because the next thing you're about to see once Tito gets off the screen is someone sending Chris a pretty scathing message about what he did to Barbara, and the second it catches his eyes and he realizes what it is, he just starts making the most obnoxiously loud fake coughs you've ever seen in your life. It's just his way of trying to get out of the situation by doing anything else. You remember that one time he was on the phone with Alec Benson Leary and he just started mashing the buttons on his phone and said that the call dropped? It's a lot like that.
Well, she made. She made and gave life to a yellow and blue Autobot, and upon completion, she had vision of Sonichu Prime from Earth's future. Centuries ago. Millennia ago. Please, I'm no bigger than... No, I'm not the biggest. I'm not low-cow, and I do not fight that. I do not appreciate being called low-cow. Alright? Can't live with her, because she would. I'm not. Speak for yourself.
Chris gets pretty upset when someone calls him the devil. All he can respond with is a somber, "I'm not." Like, you speak for yourself, you bunch of devils. Like, the longer this stream went on, as you can see, Chris was just getting more and more upset with these donos. And it's crazy because these are people that are giving him money that in his life before he went into jail, he never had a lot of at all. He can buy all the toys he wants now. Well, that's with his cut of the money, the cut that I assume the Praetor's taking out. But even this is too much for him as a job. Chris talks about how he doesn't want to be called a lolcow when someone calls him the biggest lolcow of all time, and it seems like he's gonna name drop somebody and say that he's no bigger of a lolcow than, and he just drops it. Now, I wonder if he had Cyrax in mind, because people had been asking about Cyrax just a few minutes before this, but who knows, maybe he was thinking about the people who had just gotten in touch with him to be on the lolcow podcast. Really could be anybody. Could be something like Trump or somebody, who knows. But what I do know is that it's not the last time we've heard about Chris talking about Cyrax, because again someone asked about the little dude.
Besides the Matrix, I don't know it personally. I have not watched his content, but I know he's too much. Very bad, near toxic level individual. It's very good. Available on the Etsy shop. Well, my milkshake brings on the boys and girls of the yarn. They're like it's better than yours. About a influence social.
Chris says that he's never watched any of Cyrax's videos or anything, but he knows he's too much, and that just makes you wonder, who the hell told Chris about Cyrax? Like, maybe he was getting letters in jail back when Cyrax was really going off last summer, or the Praetor could have just told him not to engage with any other lolcows and told him the reasons why. That could be the case considering what you're about to see in a little bit here, but it is really funny knowing that, like, Cyrax is so hated that even Chris Chan won't touch the guy. He's got no one on his side. At the end there, you saw Chris informing y'all that his milkshakes are better than yours. And they bring the boys and the girls to the yard. And this stream is all over the place. I don't even know what to say. I'm so like kind of thrown off by all this. But I'll tell you what, the next clip you're about to see, I'm just gonna throw it up on the stream now, is my favorite. This is my favorite goddamn thing in the whole stream. Someone asked Chris about this novel, like from 1917 or some shit, and the look on Chris's face, he is just so lost by all of this. Like, he can follow along a question about Sonic, he can follow along with shit about Cyrax even, but this question just stumped him, as it would with most people. But I don't know, man, this one just killed me when I saw it live.
I'm not responding to that.
Somebody donates to Chris saying that the white Bowser is a predator, and despite how many times that saying gets thrown around in this community, it's never worth it to pay Chris Chan money to get it put up on screen. I mean, come on now, he didn't even respond to it. And that goes back to the Cyrax thing, with them maybe telling him not to mention these lolcows, but honestly in this case, I think it's just more of Chris not wanting to say anything because maybe they told him, hey, if anyone accuses people of stuff on your stream, don't mention it. Or also, Chris said at the beginning of the stream that he will not be doing shoutouts, most likely so that he doesn't keep saying the N-word, because people, they trick him into it on a weekly basis. The next clip is another one of my favorites, and it shows how Chris can't even really follow people's simple instructions. This next guy paid a couple bucks for Chris to say 4 words, I believe, and Chris, the way that Chris went about it, just, he would never operate right at a regular job.
There's your response to that. Satisfied?
What was the purpose of that? What? He just screamed or like made a weird ass noise into the camera. I mean, this whole stream was filled with weird ass noises coming from Chris, but this one, the look and everything, it's made no sense. Again, it's the stupid things like this that really that cracked me up tonight, because these people donated, but like, oh man, I can get Chris Chan to do this, and Chris just takes their money, looks into the camera, nah, like fuck you, basically. Like, that's what he's doing right there. It's a fuck you to everybody who donated. And I don't know what to say. You want to know Chris's take on Israel and Palestine?
Israel, Palestine, there have too many demons and devils over there.
Yeah, I'm not touching that one. This whole stream was just ridiculous, and this was like 6 minutes of clips out of a 2-hour-long stream. And if you do want to go see this in full, I'm telling you, it has some good moments, but for the most part, it's just people donating, trying to get Chris's attention. Some do end up getting it, but very few end up getting what they want. And that's something that I feel like I have to repeat again, because I'm just some random guy on the internet, and you're just some random person on the internet as well. But I feel like I need to tell you, this dude, at the end of the day, just got out of jail for doing what he did to his mother. Do you really think he should walk back into the world and have people just making it rain on the guy right now? Absolutely not. But it is your own, it's your own money. Who am I to tell you what to do with it? But I will say this. If you are thinking of donating to Chris Chan this holiday season, maybe spend it on yourself, you know? Don't pay this motherfucker, you know? Like, why give him $10 that you could maybe use to, I don't know, for stocking stuffers or something like that? Like, well, just why? Even the $2. Take that $2 tomorrow morning, get yourself a coffee. Like, what are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? Genuinely, what are we doing? People are making it rain on Chris, and I know I've been saying that the whole video, but it is crazy. That's another thing I predicted, that when Chris got out of jail, people were going to somehow put him in front of a camera and make donations off of him just by letting stuff play over a loudspeaker or something to annoy him. And while I was wrong about the loudspeaker stuff, I feel like I'm kind of right with people putting him in front of a camera and just making him sit there and letting people donate to say whatever they want to him. If Chris had thought of this himself years ago, he'd probably be a millionaire by now. But now the Praetor have him in their grasp, and they're basically having Chris follow their business model that Chris could never figure out, and that was simply monetizing his trolls. And that's what happened here, at least for the low effort weens that are donating to Chris. It's a really weird situation. You never think you'd see someone like Chris, especially after doing what he's done, just make a killing like this. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very strange time period. Well, I plan to cover Chris going forward to see what he does next, because as I've always mentioned, we've followed this story ever since he got into jail. Now he's out, and I'll keep letting y'all know the updates, because I'm never going to leave the homies hanging. But I'm not going to make a video like this again, where we go over a lot of the donos people sent him and all, because I feel like it only incentivizes people to send more wacky shit about like Cyrax and White Bowser and all that. People shouldn't be sending nothing to this dude. And that's just the facts. I've said it a lot, but it can't be said enough, especially when it's going the way it is. But that's a topic for another day. For right now, all I want to say to y'all is have a very good rest of your day. Hope all y'all are having a good one right now. And it's Friday, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope when you're done work tonight, you can just kick back, chill, have a good time, and not worry about a goddamn thing till Monday. And until then, I will see y'all in the next one. Take care, everybody.